This is Dolores Hirschman from DoloresHirschman.com, and I'm doing a quick video here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in a break I have from an event that I'm attending this week. It's an event with entrepreneurs and different kinds of service providers and coaches. And one of the things that happens when I attend these kinds of events, because of the work that I do as a TEDx organizer and TEDx curator and speaker coach, people come to me and say and ask, I have a great story. Do you think I can share it at a TEDx stage? And so I typically ask very politely, tell me about your story. And they'll tell me and they get all excited, and usually they have very compelling stories. And I then would ask, so what is behind the story? What is the idea behind it that will that pulls you towards the bigger stage? And they have a hard time answering that question, because we all have great stories to share, and yes, there's learnings that come just from listening to a story, but from there to having the speaker, the one telling the story, be clear about what that message or what that lesson is, that's a very different conversation. So I wanted to do this quick video to share a couple of tips that will help you understand or clarify if there's a TED Talk in you, if there's an idea worth sharing, and whether that idea can take you to larger stages like TEDx and other stages around the country. So the first thing that we ask when we're doing interviews for our TEDx event is we would ask the speaker, what is your idea worth sharing? Can you express your idea in about 6 words or a short sentence? And many of our speakers, even speakers that made it onto our stage, have a really hard time answering that question. So first step is get clear on what is it that you're sharing. You have a great story, but what is behind it? When I coach my speakers on preparing for a TEDx talk, the first thing I ask is, let's clarify your idea. And then let's choose the stories that can help us tell that idea in a more compelling way, and not the other way around. We don't first select the stories and then decide what is the idea that we're sharing. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, who are you talking to, right? We speakers sometimes think, well, I have a great message and I'm just going to stand in front of a group of people and tell them my talk or my message. But if we do so before we check in with who is in the audience, then we run the risk of never really engaging with that audience. Let me give you a very simple example. I'm from Argentina, I speak Spanish, but if I go home and I stand in front of an audience and decide to give my talk in English just because I've rehearsed it in that way and it's easier for me, the likelihood that most of the audience will stand up and leave at the middle of the talk is very high, because I'm not literally speaking their language. So that's a very easy to understand example, but there's subtleties on that. Is if you are speaking to an audience, who are they? What are the drivers? What is the age group? Are they men or women? Are there young children in the crowd? What is is it a specific industry with specific terms that they use that they will understand? Or is it people from very different backgrounds, and if you use very specific industry terms, they might not follow you? So that's number 2. Tip number 2. Make sure you are clear who you are talking to, who you're speaking to. Third tip is, why do you want to stand on that stage? Whether it's a TED or TEDx or any event you're going to be speaking from the front of the room, why is it that you're standing there? You, the speaker, needs to be clear first on what do you want the audience to take away? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think about once you finish speaking? If you don't plan for that, then you just had some time on stage, and the moment you leave the stage, probably nobody will remember what you said. But if you anchor it with a specific call to action, with a specific intention that you planted during your talk, then it's very likely that your audience will move on to take that action or implement that thought. So these are 3 tips. I'm going to write them right here in this email, in this blog for you to have. And stay tuned. I will be hosting a webinar in the coming weeks on how to craft and pitch your TEDx talk to access that TEDx stage or any other stage that you want. So stay tuned for that. And until then, I'm going to go for a quick walk on the beach before my lunch break is over. And I hope you're having a wonderful rest of the day. Big kisses. Oh, and by the way, I will send you an email from Buenos Aires next week. I will be landing in Buenos Aires on Monday, May 2nd. So if you're around, let's connect. Bye.